right, just quickly refresh your memory. These are the 2 reasons that we have done so far. So last week, Monday, we had a look at our first triangle reason, which dealt with the fact that angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So if we add all interior angles of a triangle, we will always get 180. That reason was sum of angles in a triangle. And then on Wednesday, we had a look at the reason that dealt with the exterior angle of a triangle. And we saw that it was equal to us adding together the 2 opposite interior angles. If I add them together, I will always get the exterior angle of my triangle. And that reason, exterior angle of triangle. So those were the 2 reasons that we've done so far. Again, like, we expect you to know these, and we expect that come grade 9, 10, 11, 12, if you choose to carry on with maths, these reasons that we do now in grade 8 and grade 9, we just expect you to know them, and we expect you to be able to apply them. And even in grade 11, grade 12, you are still using these reasons. So it's really, really important that we do practice them, that we do revise them, and we continuously remember them, because, like I say, they're going to be a part of your life in geometry if you plan on taking maths all the way up until matric. Okay, so let's just recap what we do hopefully already know. And so what I'm going to ask you guys to try for me is this question 1 over here. So by yourselves, because it's reasons that we have done, I want you to answer for me, or I want you to find the values of X and Y in this diagram. Okay, so angle X is this angle here, top left. And then I also want angle Y, which is this angle top right. I want you to try by yourself, because again, this is one that we've done. So it's not a new reason, it's one we've done. I want you to try for me and give me the values of X and Y. Remember, this is geometry. So when you do your answer, you need to give both your statement and your reason. So in the chat, when you give me your answers, do you say X equals the value and then give the reason as well? Nomkatano, you don't have to do it in alphabetical order. You are welcome to. Often doing it in alphabetical order is helpful, but you don't have to. The only time you have to order is if the question says, determine the value of the lowercase letters in alphabetical order. So if the question tells you to, then you need to. If it doesn't, then as long as we get the answers, we're happy. All right, I'm going to give you 2 angles. Let's say 2 minutes. Let's see how we do. Answers for X with a reason, answer for Y with a reason on the chat. Okay, so guys, remember your reasons. You have to have reasons. If we don't have reasons, we're going to lose marks. So please, please remember to put your reasons down. Oh. Remember, guys, if at any point you struggle with audio or with seeing the screen, what you need to do is you need to log out and log back in again. If it is an audio issue, double check that you're connected to the correct audio. If it's a screen issue, you might need to unpin my screen on your side and then repin it. That might help. There's 2 that I've seen are struggling to see the screen. So just try those 2 things for me, either log out, log back in, or unpin. If you're still struggling, either send Yolanda or myself a message, and then I can always reshare my screen once you have tried those 2 things. Okay, I'm going to give you 1 more minute. Right, good, grade 8. So just one thing that I'm noticing is that, especially with our reasons, something that seems to be happening is we seem to be like mixing our reasons up. So like picking part of the reason of one and part of the reason of another and putting all together. So like exterior angles on a exterior angles on a straight line or something like that. Like just, oh, excuse me. Just be very careful when stating your reasons that you're not mixing up half and half. Obviously, it all comes with practice. And so don't like beat yourself up about it right now, but just bear in mind as we go along. Also, grade 8, remember I have said this to you before, that if your reasons look slightly different to mine, that's fine. As long as it's either a reason I've given you or a reason your teacher's given you, you will get marks for it. Now, I told you it didn't matter what order you did it in. I'm going to start with X. Let's just go alphabetical. And if we look at where angle X is, what we see is that we've got this exterior angle of 120 degrees. And so we know that that must be equal to X plus 50. It's equal to the two opposite interior angles. So my statement is that I know that X plus 50 degrees must give me 120. And my reason here is exterior angle of my triangle. Remember your reasons, you're welcome to abbreviate and you're welcome to use the symbols that I use. Inverse operations tells me that I'm going to subtract 50 on both sides. And so we get that X is equal to 70 degrees. Now guys, remember, like I say, like you don't have to do this, but as you start to find angles, I would put them on my diagram just in case it's helpful to me. Now, when we go and find Y, there's a couple different ways that you can find Y. Because you now have X, you could use angles in a triangle or sum of angles in a triangle to find Y. Another way that we could find Y is we can use angles on a straight line, because Y and 120 are angles on a straight line. I'm going to use angles on a straight line just because I prefer that one, but you will get the answer if you use sum of angles in a triangle. Y plus 120 degrees must give me 180 degrees. Oopsie, sorry. Angles on a straight line. And again, using my inverse operations, I'll subtract 120 on both sides. And so I get that Y is equal to 60 degrees. So X was 60, Y was 60, and those were the two angles that I needed to find. All right, so I've said this to you before, what we do need to start getting used to is questions where there's multiple missing angles that we need to find, like this one, we had X and Y. And so we need to start getting used to having to solve for or find 3 or 4 or even 5, 6, 7 different angles, all in one diagram, all using different reasons as we go along. All right, so if anyone needs to take a screenshot of that, now's the time to do so. I will say that if there's questions, you can raise your hand. I'm hoping they aren't, because these are 2 reasons that we have already done. But if there are questions, please raise your hand and ask. Otherwise, we're going to have a look at our new reason that we're going to have a look at, or that we're going to learn today. Okay, I'm assuming everyone's got a screenshot. I'm assuming that because there's no hands, there's no questions. Let's have a look at our next reason, our third triangle reason that we're going to have a look at. All right, so our third reason, guys, that we're going to have a look at deals with, if we specifically talk about triangles, deals with an isosceles triangle. And so basically, if you are given a triangle with 2 equal sides, which we know is an isosceles triangle, then the angles opposite those 2 equal sides are then also equal. All right, so if we go to our diagram and just visually see what this is actually saying to us. This reason is saying to me that if I'm given two sides of my triangle equal, and I know that those two sides are equal, remember, because it's got those little lines or those little strike marks on it. If those two sides are equal to each other in a triangle, then what I automatically know is that the angles opposite those sides, so the two angles that sit opposite those two equal sides, are then also equal. So in this case, angle A would be equal to angle B, because they are the angles opposite the equal sides. And so our reason here is angles up equal sides. Very straightforward. It says exactly what it means. So anytime you are given a triangle with two equal sides, which is essentially an isosceles triangle, the angles opposite the equal sides are also equal. Right, now obviously this is going to help us determine angle sizes. We then can also use sum of angles in a triangle with more effectiveness, because we essentially know two of the three angles. And so this is going to link up quite a lot with the other triangle reasons and the other straight line reasons that we've had a look at, knowing that the angles opposite equal sides are equal. Alrighty, so let's have a look at an example. We're going to do this first one together. Again, guys, I'm fully aware of the fact that some of you have already done this at school. We're doing it together for the first time at Watobe, so we're going to just do this first example together and then go from there. So, sorry, my chat has decided to be a bit all over the place. So if we have a look here, sorry, I just want to take this away. Let's do that, right. So if we have a look at our first example, I just want to leave our reason there. The thing that we need to start training our eyes to see is all of the information that we get given on a diagram. So for example, in this diagram, we have been told that this side is equal to this side. Oh, that's a squiggly line. Let's try that again. This side that I'm highlighting in blue is equal to this side that I'm highlighting in blue. Again, I've got those two strike marks on those sides. They are equal. What that automatically means, because I've got my triangle with two equal sides, automatically I can go and say, okay, well, the angle opposite the two sides are equal to each other. And so in this case, I don't actually even have to do any working out. I can go pretty much straight to my answer. There's nothing that I need to do to try and get to X. Because I've got those equal sides, I can make the statement initially that I know X is equal to 42 degrees. And my reason for that statement is the fact that I've got angles opposite equal sides. So again, whenever we are given a triangle with two equal sides, the angles opposite them are equal. If, like I've done, and you need to draw the line showing the angles opposite, do that. Like, those are your diagrams. In a test and an exam, scribble, highlight, color, do what you need to do on your diagram to help you. But looking out for the two equal sides and then the angles opposite them will allow us to use this reason. Right, so I'm just going to stop here in case you want to take screenshots of your reason in this first example. I'm also going to stop in case anyone has any questions before we move on. Lindo?
Hi, ma'am. Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, can I ask, does the equal signs mean the pattern or the shapes are equal to each other?
Can you say the first bit again for me? Sorry.
I'm asking, ma'am, does the equal sides on each angle mean that each line is equal to another one?
Okay, I'm going to be honest, you broke up a little bit there. As far as what I heard, you were asking me if the angles are equal. Does that mean the sides are equal? it does. We're going to do that reason on Wednesday. But yeah, if you've got two equal angles, then the sides opposite them will be equal. Does that answer your question, Lindo?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sure. Since it's not completely like parallel lines. Remember, parallel lines, we've got three different reasons that we use. Some angles are equal, some angles are add up to 180 degrees. So it's not quite like parallel lines. We're also working with equal lines here, not parallel. So just be careful. As long as you know that the angles opposite equal sides are equal, you're sorted. Sabiso?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
I'm asking, could you example, I can see here the angles are a bit different to the example, because and the first example is a bit different and it's swerved a bit. Does it matter how it is shaped or positioned? It's just that it has the two lines.
Okay. Sabiso, again, you broke up a little bit there. I don't really know where you're saying that they're different. I'm not seeing the difference, but essentially because I've been given the two lines on the sides, I know that the angles opposite them are equal. Our diagrams aren't always drawn to scale. They're actually very rarely drawn to scale. So you need to be looking at like the information on the diagram. So those two lines on the sides, whether or not there's parallel or anything like that.
Ma'am, I'm asking, does the position matter, how it's positioned, or?
No, not really. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, you need to look at your diagram to see where the information is, but it doesn't necessarily always be like at the bottom or whatever. Like, you need to look and see what's on the diagram. So no, the position won't always be the same.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, cool. Got there in the end. Okay, guys, there's a couple questions on the chat, and I'm not sure that they're entirely relevant to the example that I'm doing. So please, let's just try and keep it focused on this example. Kakleho, yes, this is an isosceles triangle because I've got two equal sides. And so, Onshia, that then answers your question. It's isosceles. Remember, parallel, guys, we use arrows on the lines to show that they're parallel. So if I have a line and I've got an arrow on it or arrows on it, that means parallel. If on the line I've got strike marks, that means it's equal. So just bear that in mind. Makuso, yes, if we want you to know that the lines are equal, we will put those little lines on the diagram. We can't expect you to just know that if we don't give it to you. We might ask you to prove it, but generally we will give it to you on the diagram, yes. All right, so that is everyone's questions answered. So guys, just be careful, parallel, arrows, equal lines, and like I say, we will put them on the diagram if we expect you to use it. Okay, so let's have a look at another question. And Sabiso, I think this might answer your question with an example here in terms of, do they always have to be in the same position? Okay, so if we have a look at question 2, guys, I'll leave question 1 up there so we can see what's going on. Like I say, always look at what information is given to you on your diagram. So look out for, have I told you that there's parallel lines? Have I told you that anything is equal to each other? Have I given you measurements or whatever? In this case, I have told you that the side CB is equal to the side AC. So those two sides are equal. I know that again because I've got these lines on my sides. And like I say, because we don't really draw our diagrams to scale, we will tell you that those sides are equal. Because I've got 2 of my 3 sides in my triangle equal, what I know is that angle B is equal to angle X. Now, I don't want to say the problem, but right now I don't know what angle B is, so I can't automatically say what X is. But I have been given that this angle C is 100 degrees. And so this is what I was saying earlier. We can now start to use all of our other triangle reasons to get to our value of x. So let's start by saying the fact that we know x is equal to angle B. Now remember, we can put the little hat on B to show it's an angle. If you wanted to label angle B slightly differently, remember you can use the 3 letters. So it'd be A, B, C. So angle A, B, C with a little hat on B. They are equal. We know that they're equal because of those green lines, which is angles opposite equal sides. So what we've just established here is that both of those angles right now are an angle of x. I need to figure out what x is. Now, based on the shape that I have been given, I have got a triangle here. And we know that if we add up the angles in my triangle, so x plus 100, I must get 180 degrees. And my reason there would be sum of angles in triangle. And so by realizing that x and angle B were both the same, and then seeing that we do have a triangle where we can use another triangle reason, we can go and work out what x is. So remember, x plus x, those are like terms. That gives me 2x plus 100 degrees. I'm now going to start using my inverse operations and subtract 100 on both sides, which means I will have 180 minus 100 degrees. And that would give me 80 degrees. And guys, remember, I'm trying to solve for x. So I don't want 2x, I want x, which means I need to divide both sides by 2. And quite a few of you have already said this on the chat. And so x is equal to 40 degrees. Right, so this example is one that is a little bit more complicated. Well, not even a little bit more complicated, but one where we just need to think a little bit more because we can't go straight to the answer. We first have to state, and guys, it's really important that we do state that x is equal to angle ABC or angle B, because if we don't state that, if you then go and in your next step say you've got 2 x's, you are making an assumption that those angles are equal. So remember, if it's not given to you on your diagram, you either need to make a statement and give a reason for why you're saying something is equal, or something is the same, or something adds up to 180, or whatever the case is. And then you can go and do your working out. So this first statement that we made, the fact that angle X and angle ABC are the same, is really important. Because only once I'd made that statement does it make sense for me to have X plus X. Because now I've shown that those two angles opposite the equal sides are equal. All right, so this is an example of a question where the position is, like Sabisa was saying, is different. It's not necessarily the two angles at the bottom. It's angles opposite the equal sides. It's also an example that shows you that to get to an angle, you might have to use multiple reasons. So here we use angles opposite equal sides and angles of a triangle. And sometimes we do have to use multiple reasons to get to an answer. That's fine. Right? Like I say, as the complexity of our questions increases, you're often going to have to do that. So I'm going to stop here, take your screenshots. If anyone has any questions, please do ask. Otherwise, we'll take a little break. I don't know if we'll do a full brain break, but we'll take a little break, have a stretch, and then we'll move on to some more examples. We divide 180 by 2. I divided 80 by 2. So we're in the second last step. Just grab a highlighter. So we're here. We have 2x equals 80. And remember, I'm trying to solve for x. I want x alone. And so in order for me to solve for x, I need to get rid of the number in front of the x. And so that's why I divided by 2. If I'm going to divide the left-hand side by 2, I also have to divide the right-hand side by 2. So what I do on one side of my equation, I have to do on the other side. And so that's why I said 80 divided by 2. Where you can say x equals b, that's fine. I would just remember to have it as a capital B and then the little copy on the B to show that it's the angle at vertex B. But that's fine. In this case, there's no other angles at B, and so it's fine. It's when you get diagrams that are maybe a bit more complicated. So maybe if we had a triangle like this and this was point B, then we would have to be very specific that it's angle ABC, because there is actually another angle at B that I could be working with. But for this diagram, it's absolutely fine. At Lahang, remember today is not a quiz day. Today is poll day. Quiz days are on Wednesdays. And guys, remember poll days and quiz days, we only do in like the last 5-10 minutes. So we do the lesson first and then you get the poll or the quiz. All right, so I hope everyone's taken a screenshot. So we are going to take a little break. Don't worry, Lahang, that's fine. We are going to take a little brain break now. I don't know, let's see how far you get. Try the brain break. I don't want to spend too long on a brain break, but I do want you guys to just take a minute, stretch, get up, run to the bathroom if you need to run to the bathroom. And then we're going to carry on. I'm going to say we're going to carry on in 2 minutes. So you can give this brain break a try. If not, we'll carry it over to the next week. Don't stress. But do just take a little break. Where to, you have to put x equals angle ABC. So if I just scroll back up here, I didn't tell you that this angle at B was equal to x. That was not information that I gave you. If you're going to then use sum of angles in a triangle, you have to know what B is. And so you have to then make the statement that x is equal to angle ABC. Without that statement, you're just making assumptions. So that's what I was saying earlier. If it's not given on the diagram or if it's not given in the information, you would have to give reasons for why things are equal or whatever the relationship is. Right, so guys, there is, or we are taking a little break. Sorry about that. Got a frog in my throat and need to have some water. I honestly, I don't think you'll have time to do this whole thing. So just take a little break, take a little mental break, take a breath. We're going to carry on in a minute. Kakleko, remember these sessions are always an hour, so we start wrapping up at about 10 to 5 to 6. Okay, so guys, just have a stretch, have a break, and then we're going to carry on now. Andelia, I hear you. It does go very, very quickly, but that's what happens when we are working and we're being productive. Oh, sorry, guys. I've got hiccups now and a frog in my throat. Nom Kitano, I hear what you're saying. Whoopsie daisies. It might be that we have to deal with a negative number, but that's also why I said I don't know if we will be able to do the whole situation. As I'm saying that, if you have a look at the paper clips, and again, it's not very clear, and that's why I'm saying let's not stress about it right now. There's 2 paper clips here. Okay, so this might make more sense. If you just compare the 2 images, they are slightly different. There's 2. And so what that means is that each paperclip is 4, because if we add 4 6 times, we get 24. And so then we've got 4 times 4, which is 16. And then to get to 23, we would add 7. And now I'm just doing it, so I'm going to carry on. The pen would then be 7. And then we've got the scissors. So we need to decide 7 times what plus the same value gives us 72. Now I have to do some maths here. And so 7 times 9 gives us 63. And then 63 plus 9 gives us 72. So our scissors are 9. And so at the bottom here, 9 plus 7 times 2 paper clips again, so times 8. 7 times 8 is 56. Remember BODMAS. Plus 9 gives us 65. So well done, guys. But yeah, I hear you. I also for a second was like, oh, this paperclip pen situation doesn't make sense. And it was because I forgot that there were 2 paper clips. So we always need to look carefully. But if you got 65, guys, very nicely done. Righty, I'm hoping we've all touched our toes, had a stretch. I'd like to do 2 more, but let's see how far we go. Alrighty, so what I want you guys to try for me by yourselves is this first question here. All I want is the value of x. That's it. Okay, so remember your statement and your reason. I've given you information here. I'm not going to say what information I've given you. I want you to look at the diagram and decide what information have I given you that's useful to work out x. Remember to give your statement and your reason. What I'll spell reason there for a second. And then we'll have a look and see if we agree with answers. So I want you to try question 1 for me. Let's see what values we get for x. Remember, guys, when we give our answers in the chat, let's remember to put our reasons there as well. As I've said to you before, especially in grade 8, you get an answer for you get a mark for your answer, but you also get a mark for your reason. So we need to just get into the habit of automatically putting our reason down. Good, I like what I'm seeing so far. Right, so let's see. If we go to our diagram first and decide what information we've been given, we can see that we have been given that 2 sides are equal. Right, again, I know this because of those lines on each of the sides. What that means is that the angles opposite them are equal. So this is quite a nice one. I don't actually need to do any working out. X is equal to 48 degrees, and our reason, angles op equal sides. Please don't forget the angles. If you just say op equal sides, what opposite equal sides? So we do need to remember to put angles to be clear that we're talking about the fact that it's the angles opposite the equal sides that we are saying are equal. So well done. It looked like everyone said 48 to put on the chat. So very nicely done, grade 8. So well done. So, I mean, you can take a screenshot if you want, but let's do one more. And then you can take a screenshot of both at the same time. Right, so what I want you to try, I'll leave question 1 up in case it's helpful to you. I want you to try question 2 here for me. And again, all we're doing is we're working out the value of x. So have a look at what you've been given. Have a look at how we find x. Remember, when you put your answer on the chat, remember to give your reason. Somtandile, I'm going to assume that was a mistake on the chat. Please remember, let's not spam or do anything untowards on the chat. So we're not spamming, we're not sending messages that have no relevance. Okay. Zippo, don't worry. We get that sometimes connections are slow, especially with load shedding and stuff. Everything's recorded. Okay, so you can go and watch the recording when you're able to. Away to yes, quiz days are only on Wednesdays. Mondays are poll days. All right, guys, I'm giving you 1 more minute, and then I'm gonna have a look. Remember, it's cold tea. Remember, answers with reasons, please. Wandisile, they're only equal if I give you the tick marks. So only if I put the lines on the sides are they equal. Otherwise, you would have to prove some other way that they're equal. And guys, remember again, like I said earlier, our diagrams are very rarely drawn to scale. So you can't go measure two sides and say, oh, well, I measured that they're equal. That isn't necessarily true. Okay, so just be careful. It either must be given to you on the diagram or you have to have proven it somehow. Now, guys, remember, you can check yourself because we know that angles in a triangle must add up to 180. So if you add B, A, and C, remember, you should be getting 180 degrees. I like what I'm seeing though. Okay, so guys, in this last minute, the first thing that we see is that we've been given those equal sides again. So AB, that's a terrible color that I've chosen for a highlighter. Let's try that again. So AB is equal to BC. Apparently can't highlight in a straight line either, but whatever. And so what that means is that those angles opposite are equal. So our very first statement, and we have to make the statement, is that angle C is also equal to X. You could say angle ACB if you wanted to is equal to X because of angles op equal sides. And because we know that both of these bottom angles here are X, we can now set up our equation. X plus 120 must be equal to 180 degrees because of sum of angles in triangle. We've got an equation we can solve. So X plus X is 2X is equal to, 2X plus 120 is equal to 180. Inverse operations, I'm going to subtract 120 on both sides. So 180 minus 120, which gives me 2X is equal to 60. Now, guys, remember what we're doing. What we're doing is we're solving for X. So I don't want 2X, I want X, which means I have to divide both sides by 2. And so I get that X is equal to 30 degrees. Right, it's really important that we remember to divide by 2 because I am solving for X, okay? And the next thing that's really important is that we're using the reasons here. So we're using angles opposite equal sides and we're using sum of angles in a triangle. Unfortunately, there's no straight lines in this. Well, there are straight lines, but there's no reason angles on a straight line here that we use. So just be careful of that. But also, you do have to say ACB because angle ABC would be angle ABC up here. So we follow the letters A to B to C. That doesn't give me the angle I want. So if I follow the letters, I go from A to C to B, that gives me the angle. So remember, the order of the letters is really important as well.